thank you to Che for inviting me to do this presentation. It's an absolute privilege, and I think it's a very important topic that I would like to speak to you about, especially when it comes to adventure-based training. So, to start off, what is adventure-based training? Why do we do it? What is the outcome that we expect? And is it really worth it? The only reason you're here is because you believe that, yes, it adds value to whatever you're doing, to the people we love, the people who work with us, to see them grow, and to see their potential gain. That is one aspect of adventure training. Well, it definitely has the potential of having these wow experiences, life-changing moments where you discover yourself and you contribute to growth, not only for yourself, but for your organization, and you take it home to your families, your siblings, your children, and so on and so forth, and to the broadly the nation. That is what it can bring. But if you get it wrong, what happens if you get it wrong? Adventure is putting yourself at risk, discovering yourself, pushing yourself. But what if you get it wrong? There is an inherent risk in adventure-based training. How we manage it is the trick. Yes. So, why are we here? To understand what is risk, to ask ourselves why, and then how do you manage it? How do you bring the safety aspect in, make it worthwhile? So, risk in the context of adventure training. It's the possibility of losing limb or life. There's no in-between. Maybe we never discussed it in this context, but adventure training brings in this element. If you get it wrong, you might hurt yourself rather badly, and if you're lucky, you won't have one at all. The consequences are high. So, early morning, second speech coming in. Sorry that it is not very pleasant, but a touch of reality. Because this is what it means to be engaged in training activities as a facilitator, trainer, and especially for you as HR professionals who are committed to training and development of your staff. As bosses, as leaders of corporates and organizations, when you want to see growth in your people and you want to give them an opportunity for them to grow, like Peter said, go beyond the limits and discover yourself. This is what you expose people to. So, why do we take risks? It gives an opportunity for us to learn. A medium of learning. Classroom-based learnings can be a little tedious. We have all been in our classrooms, we doze off, and we can't remember what happened. Being in the outdoors, it gives you an opportunity to remember for longer, see how things apply in the real world, how you manage yourself when the topic is leadership, when the topic is change, whether the topic is managing negotiation skills. Doing it practically helps us to understand the theory. Opportunity to learn. And it gives an opportunity for personal growth and development, to find out what you're made of. Do I have the mettle to go through, to stay afloat, to go through the tough times, see myself up there, Adventure training helps that. And then it gives you insight of who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses. Gives you the opportunity to discover yourself. These are the benefits. And if you get it right, there's a world to explore. And that's what we are looking for. I think all of you can relate to this. If you've been out in an adventure-based training, excursion, a program, this is the feeling that you want to have. That wow feeling. I've done it. I've achieved it. I've challenged my limitations. I've overcome my fears. I've done something great. And for days you're bragging with your friends. Machan, that was amazing. The human feeling. This is what we are looking for when we do all this. But in doing all this, if we forget that there's an element of safety, if you get it wrong, you could hurt yourself. We are more passionate about the feeling of achieving, but you also have to be prepared for the feeling of hurt if you get it wrong. And as professionals, we are responsible if somebody gets hurt. There is no excuse there. So we are going to look at how safety is compromised, how it should be managed, and what we could do better to ensure that we take everybody home safely. Adventure can happen in two ways. One, for yourself. Among your colleagues, you can decide, okay, let's do something crazy, let's do something adventurous. Put your backpacks on and go out somewhere. You've taken the challenge, you've taken the risks, and that's your own. You're only answerable to yourself. But as people who are engaged in training and development, who have an obligation towards the organization, when you put your staff, when you put yourself in a group and you put yourself out there in a training program, which you paid for, there's no in-between. Safety has to be guaranteed 100%. Everybody needs to go home safe. Despite its risks, despite its definition, there is no space for somebody to get hurt. And that is what you need to look at. As service providers, as clients of adventure-based training service providers, that is you, the majority of you, and service providers, that is what we have to ensure. That we don't compromise the safety. Unfortunately, I have to show you two slides. I want you to focus on the dates. One is in 2013, another in 2018. Similar organizations. The profile of the person, male, female, but principals, the occupation, the designation was principal. Two people die 5 years apart, taking part in outdoor adventure-based training from the same organizations. Now, think about it. If there was a training and development manager, what would you have done when it happened the first time? As an organization, what would you have done if this happened the first time in 2013? What actions would you take to make sure it doesn't happen again? And then ask yourself, how come it happened again in 2018? And who is accountable? What has been done? Some child lost a father, a wife, a husband. And it's all to do with training, developing, reaching a potential, contributing to the organization. So now the question arises, with all of this, what do we do? How do we manage the growth in people using adventure training as a learning medium and ensure safety. How do you strike this balance? And that's the main thing that we need to focus on. Yes, it gives you the opportunity to experience a new you, an opportunity for your people to grow, but not at the cost of life or limb. So, risk management is important. You talk about risk management, the physical and emotional safety of your participants. You minimize residual risk. You do everything possible to take away the risk element. But if something does go wrong, there's a little bit of chance that something might happen, but whatever that happens is minimized. And then you look at particular hazards in the activities that you run and make sure if it's unsafe, it is unsafe. Maybe a weather condition, maybe equipment-based, people-based, or otherwise. You adjust and you make sure that safety is not compromised. There are 4 elements that have key impact into safety when you talk about adventure-based training. Number 1, people. Because adventure-based training is to do with people, not with machines. Number 2, the equipment that we use, both as facilitators and as participants, what we bring. Then the environment that we train in, and of course, finally, the activity that we engage ourselves in. Let's look at each one and how it impacts and what it brings in the context of safety. People come in with their attitudes, their experiences, their competencies. They also come with their health issues, gender, age. Do we take all this into account when we discuss training with our training partners? Do we talk about it openly? These are the limitations we have. These are the demography. These are the experiences that we've gone through. Can we plan our training programs better when it comes to adventure-based training? Can we accommodate all without risking safety? Can we design one that works for us, for all of us? Then we have our own challenges. Peter mentioned sometimes an adventure-based training program might be looked at as an opportunity to go out, enjoy yourself. So from the moment your employees get into the bus, party starts. Turn up at a venue. Your facilitators, your trainers are not concerned. They're getting paid anyway, so in whatever the state of mind, the activity is run. Consider the impact on safety. Somebody who cannot control himself, who has no control over his actions. Being a part and being in a team, engaged in an activity collectively with others. The compromises that you have to make. Then the second part is the equipment. Do we have the right stuff for the right activity? If you have the right stuff, are they of the right quality? Of the right certification? One example I use is when I go out, most of the time in outdoor treks. You might have heard this yourself from your friends. Imagine a day's trek, a couple of kilometers long, and they come back and they brag and say, Machang, I had a superb outing. We hiked and we hiked. My shoulders are hurting. The backpack was eating into my shoulders. My feet are so tired. I have so many boot cuts. And that's the experience. Whereas the experience should have been, we walked through so much of lovely landscape. I've seen so many sights. I am so pumped up. This is my country. I love it. I've seen a different side to it. But instead, you're harping on all the hardships that your body had to undergo because of bad equipment. And you think that is it. Likewise, equipment used for training has an impact on people and their experiences. So the reflecting of right experiences over the negative ones which are highlighted. the environment, the terrain that we train in. Sri Lanka is a unique place. It offers myriad of places to train in. The environment, the landscapes, the experiences are immense. But also look at the risks. We have 7 types of highly venomous snakes. Our terrain is very unpredictable. Weather is just as unpredictable. Water-based activities, you may have a flash flood. Rains in the hill country will have something happening downstream that nobody knows of. We know of flash flood a couple of years back where we lost so many people from one particular organization. Just a moment. So the terrain brings its own challenges. Lightning, thunderstorms. Does the trainer make the call? It's not an easy one. Peter was discussing the other day. It's not an easy call, but somebody has to do it. Then finally, we have the activity. Activities bring in their own inherent risks. In water, the possibility of drowning, getting caught in debris underwater. In climbing, maybe a fall. Are we looking at all these as safety issues? And do we look it in the right way so that we can mitigate the risks, ensure safety, and benefit with the pluses that it brings into our organization, into the training? So that is why I'm here to highlight the safety aspects when it comes to running adventure-based trainings, and you as HR professionals engaged in training and development, what you need to ask your service providers when they come and propose a program, so that you have a good balance where safety is ensured 100%. Are the less desirable ones? Complacency, peer pressure. Machang, I can do it, you can do it. Doesn't happen. Lack of concentration, especially with these selfies and smartphones. So many kids get hit by trains now. How come? Who told you that you can stop a train with a mobile phone? Nobody did. Why are they doing it? Showing off. I've done this before. Let me show you how it's done. And then, of course, the need to just get back home. HR sent us here. I have better things to do at home. Let's get on with it. So, some of the ways of reducing it. Having policies, standards to reduce fatalities, injuries. Documented safety management systems, both for yourself and for the training organizations. But it's worthless if it's only documented. It has to be practically applied. Risk assessment systems, mitigating the risks, saying this is the cutoff line, we don't do this program, your demography doesn't facilitate this program to be run for your organization, let's think of a different one. Disclosing the risks to the clients, to the participants. Open yourself up to external audits and reviews to make sure that you have the best practices, your equipment is in place, it's been checked, safety is ensured, and of course, common sense and good practices. Risk disclosure to your participants, to your clients. Helps to remove the gray areas, plan yourself better, and helps your employees to prepare themselves. Risk disclosure and the perceived risk. We manage the risk, but the client always thinks there's risk. The participant always thinks there's a risk, but it's been managed. And use it as a tool for learning to go beyond your boundaries. So, good practices, get yourself certified, ask for licensing, statutory guidelines, compliances. Develop a sense of safety consciousness. Don't leave it in the hands of the trainer and the facilitator, but be it an organizational need. Everybody needs to be thinking of safety for themselves and their team and the organization. Involve technically professional people in designing activities. If it's water-based, have people who understand the subject. In climbing, have professionals involved. And then from your staff, allocate the right person for the right job. So taking all this into account, you can have the benefits of adventure training, managing the risks involved with injury. If you have a plan that mitigates risks and ensures safety, yes, adventure training has endless opportunity. And that is what this forum is all about, to talk about the opportunities available, to talk about adventure training positively, to see how we can take it to the next level so that everybody benefits. And of course, if we can apply it broadly across the board, this industry is going to grow. It's going to create avenues, opportunities for us to bring in greater business, greater growth, and success. So with that, I will leave you, and hopefully the slide will also change and give us that feeling, end of the day, to say that, yes, we've done it. Thank you.